What if the world you were born into was already full of danger? What if your father was one of the most feared hitmen in Mexico? And what if everyone expected you to grow up just like him? This is the story of Raúl Meza Torres, better known as El Mini 6. He wasn't a grown man. He was just a teenager. But by the time he was 18, people knew his name. They feared him. He had cars, guns, money, and power. Was he a cold-blooded killer or a lost boy chasing the memory of his father? But who was he, really? Was he seeking revenge, or was he simply doing what he thought was expected? And most importantly, could his life have turned out different? You're watching the Narco Files, where we uncover the real stories behind the drug world. If you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Born into the cartel, Raúl Meza Torres was born into a life filled with danger. His father, Raúl Meza Ontiveros, also known as LM6, was a high-ranking and feared hitman in the Sinaloa Cartel. He wasn't just part of the group. He was someone people respected and feared. Raúl's mother, Ada Elizabeth Torres Felix, also came from a cartel family. Her brothers were involved in the same violent world. That meant both sides of his family were connected to crime. Growing up, Raúl didn't have a choice. His last name carried power and fear. With a father like LM6 and uncles in the cartel, Raúl's path seemed set from the start. He didn't go to school thinking about a normal job. Instead, he was raised around guns, secrets, and loyalty to the cartel. For Raúl, being part of the Sinaloa world wasn't a decision. It was his reality from day one. Let's begin. I want to be like Dad. Growing up, Raúl didn't have a choice. His last name carried power and fear. With a father like LM6 and uncles in the cartel, Raúl's path seemed set from the start. He didn't go to school thinking about a normal job. Instead, he was raised around guns, secrets, and loyalty to the cartel. For Raúl, being part of the Sinaloa world wasn't a decision. It was his reality from day one. Raúl grew up watching his father closely. He saw how people feared him, how they respected him, and how much power he had. His father had it all: big houses, fast cars, shiny weapons. To a young boy like Raúl, that wasn't scary. It was exciting. He didn't see his dad as a criminal. He saw him as a hero, someone strong and untouchable. People around them started calling Raúl El Mini 6, a nickname that meant he was the younger version of his father, who was known as LM6. And Raúl loved that. Born into the cartel, he didn't push the name away, he wore it proudly. It made him feel important, like he was meant to follow in his father's footsteps. The name wasn't just a title, it was his identity. From a young age, Raúl wasn't just a kid. He was El Mini 6, a boy growing up in the shadow of a feared man, the teen narco celebrity. By the time Raúl was just 15 years old, he was already acting like a grown man in the cartel. He posted pictures of himself holding big guns, wearing expensive watches, and standing next to luxury cars. He wasn't trying to hide his lifestyle, he was showing it off. Social media became his favorite place to share his world. He wore bulletproof vests like they were normal clothes. He posed with piles of cash like it was no big deal. Soon, people started to notice. Raúl wasn't just known in the streets, he was becoming internet famous. Other teenagers began to look up to him. Some even wanted to live the same life. But what they didn't see was the danger. This wasn't a game or a movie. This was real life. And in the world of drug cartels, things almost always end badly. Raúl was walking a path with no happy ending. Friends in high places. Raúl Meza Torres wasn't just some kid playing with danger. He had real connections inside the Sinaloa Cartel. One of his closest friends was Fidel Rojas Felix, another young man who grew up around drugs, guns, and power. Fidel wasn't just a friend, he was someone with serious influence. Many believed he helped Raúl get access to even more weapons, money, and loyal men. Raúl was also linked to a man known as El Coronel. He wasn't just any member. El Coronel was one of the original founders of the Sinaloa Cartel. He had even worked for the Juarez Cartel before teaming up with El Chapo Guzman to build the most powerful drug empire in the world. Raúl wasn't watching from the sidelines. He was right in the middle of the action. Even at a young age, he was surrounded by people who lived and died by the rules of the cartel life. The murder that changed everything. In March 2007, Raúl Meza Torres lost the person he looked up to the most, his father. The way it happened was brutal and full of unanswered questions. Some people say Raúl's father was ambushed while dropping off his girlfriend. Others think he was set up by people he trusted. What is clear, though, is that his death was violent. He wasn't just shot, he was tortured first. The report said he had deep wounds on his head, likely made by a sharp object. His body was covered in bruises. Then he was shot at point-blank range. For young Raúl, this wasn't just news. It was pain. The man he saw as a hero had been taken from him in the worst way, and that moment seemed to change something in him. From then on, Raúl didn't just want to be like his father. He wanted to finish what his father had started. Raúl's first run-ins with the law. After Raúl's father was killed, it didn't take long for him to start walking the same dark path. He began acting like a full member of the cartel, even though he was still just a teenager. One day, he was caught driving a car without license plates and using a fake ID, classic moves for someone deep in cartel life. But Raúl didn't slow down. If anything, he became bolder. He joined illegal street races with other cartel kids, showing off his fast cars and fearless attitude. During one of these races, things got out of hand. A shootout broke out with the police, and one officer got hurt. Still, Raúl and his crew managed to escape, and each time he ran from the law, his story grew. People started whispering his name with awe. He wasn't just a cartel kid anymore. He was turning into a legend. El Mini 6, the teenage narco myth. The final day, April 25, 2010. Raúl was just 18 years old when everything came to an end. He was driving through Zapopan, Jalisco with his close friend Rojas when the police stopped them for a normal vehicle check. At first, it seemed like a simple traffic stop, but things changed quickly. The officers realized these weren't just any teenagers. They were armed and connected to the powerful Sinaloa Cartel. The police told them to step out of the car. The mood got tense. Instead of listening, Raúl raised his gun and fired shots into the air, almost like he was daring the police to react. Then, it turned violent. Raúl shot Officer Jaime Vicente Morales Dominguez in the head. Another officer, José Luis Monroy, was also hit but managed to fire back. One of his bullets struck Raúl. Rojas ran off, leaving his friend behind. Raúl was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. He didn't survive. Betrayed in the end. After Raúl died, his friend Rojas Felix was caught by the police. Many believed they were close, always seen together, sharing the same dangerous life. But when Rojas stood in court, he denied even knowing Raúl. He said he had nothing to do with the shooting. No loyalty, no truth, just distance. It shocked many people, but in the cartel world, this isn't rare. When things go wrong, even the closest friends can turn their backs. Raúl, who once stood so proud next to Rojas, was now alone, even in death. No one stepped up for him. No one defended him. It was a harsh and painful lesson about the world he had chosen. In the end, the same world that gave him power and fame also left him empty and forgotten. For Raúl, friendship didn't last. Not in the cartel, not in the courtroom, not in life or death. The Ballads of El Mini 6. After Raúl died, his name became a part of narco-cultura, a culture that celebrates cartel life through music and stories. Musicians wrote ballads about him, calling him brave and fearless. They sang about his love for weapons, his fancy clothes, and how proud he was of his father's name. People listened and admired the legend, but the songs didn't tell the whole story. Behind the lyrics was a teenager who never had a real chance at a normal life. A boy raised in violence, chasing a dream that only led to an early death. Raúl was just lost. Bigger lesson. Raúl Meza Torres was not born a monster. He was shaped by the world around him. His story isn't just about guns and violence. It's a warning. He grew up in a place where fear was power, where carrying a gun felt normal, and where dying young wasn't a surprise. But even in that world, Raúl had choices. At 18, he still had a chance to change his path. Sadly, like many young people pulled into crime, he never got the time to grow up. His life ended before it really began. And now his story is a lesson for others. Raúl Meza Torres, also known as El Mini Seis, died young. He never got the chance to grow old. Not because he didn't have potential, not because he wasn't strong, but maybe because he never saw another way to live. He was raised around guns, power, and crime. But what if someone had shown him a different path? What if he had been given a second chance? How many more young lives will be lost trying to chase power and fear? Was Raúl a victim of his family and surroundings? Or do you think he had a choice all along? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you want more real stories from the world of cartels, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a story. This is the Narco Files. Stay curious, stay safe,